What if the Ottoman Empire had embraced the Industrial Revolution? What if it had adopted steam engines, railroads, factories, and modern science in time? Would it still have collapsed? Or would the Ottomans still exist today? This video explores one of history's greatest what-if scenarios. What was the Industrial Revolution, and why did the Ottomans miss it? The Industrial Revolution began in the late 18th century in England. With steam power, textile machines, railroads, and mass production, the world began to change. This revolution was not only economic, it opened the door to a new era politically, socially, and militarily. But the Ottoman Empire missed this massive transformation. Why? Because central authority was weakening. Internal rebellions and external wars were relentless. There was a massive gap in science and technology compared to the West. The religious scholars, ulama, often saw innovations as infidel inventions. Reforms came too late or didn't last long. In short, the Ottomans were too slow to adapt to a rapidly changing world. But what if they had kept up? Now let's imagine. What if in the early 1800s, the Ottomans had established modern schools, trained engineers, built railway networks, and embraced industrial production? In this scenario, Istanbul is filled with factories, just like London. Anatolian cities become industrial hubs. The military is supported by steam-powered warships and rail transport. Telegraph lines make modern communication possible. A positivist understanding of science dominates education. Bureaucracy functions like in Europe. What would have happened? Most likely, the Ottomans could have resisted European colonial pressure more effectively. The economy would have been based on production, not dependency. Nationalist movements in the Balkans might not have grown so easily. With science and technology, internal reforms would have been more successful. In other words, the empire could have become independent not just militarily, but also economically and culturally. Would it still have collapsed? There is no definitive answer to this question. History shows us that technological advancement alone isn't enough. Political wisdom is also essential to survive. Let's assume the Ottoman Empire did industrialize, but if it failed to modernize the justice system, didn't recognize people's rights, couldn't fight corruption and nepotism, then cracks would have formed again. However, this time, maybe the empire wouldn't have fallen. It might have transformed into a constitutional federation instead. Perhaps instead of the modern Turkish Republic, we would have a federal Ottoman state, a multi-ethnic, multicultural system, with a symbolic sultan like today's British monarchy, but a government ruled by a constitution, a parliament, and a prime minister. What would today be like? If the Ottomans had succeeded in this transformation, the map of the Middle East would look completely different. Territories like Palestine, Iraq, and Syria might still be part of the empire, and many of today's wars might not have happened. Instead of the European Union, we might have seen a union of Islamic countries led by the Ottomans. Culturally, a confident, scientifically advanced, and technologically strong society could have emerged. And maybe today, instead of the term Western science, the world would be talking about the Ottoman model, a thought-provoking ending. History didn't change. The Ottomans failed to industrialize, and the empire came to an end in 1922. But this scenario teaches us a crucial lesson. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe. We'll keep discussing the past, but we'll write the future together.